This is gonna take a while. Hey everyone, it's Carly and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my April, May, and June wrap up. So I'm really sorry. Okay, so this is gonna be a very relaxed, chill video. My camera battery is already starting to die, so we need to make this quick. I apologize now if I don't remember any of the descriptions of all these books. It's been a while since I've read some of these, and some of the ones that I just recently read weren't that memorable for me. So let's just jump in. Okay, so we're gonna start off with April. The first book that I read was The Silent Patient, and I forget who this is by, Alex Michaelides. I'm really sorry. This is a thriller. I read this on audio and I gave it a 3 stars. It was very average to me. I liked the audiobook even though it was in a British accent, and typically I have a hard time following along with those. But in this case, I actually really enjoyed it. I did like the whole premise. It's about this girl who supposedly killed her husband, and she goes to the psych ward, and this doctor there is trying to like figure out why, make her talk and all this kind of stuff because she stopped talking. I honestly don't remember what happened. It's been since April since I read this, so I really don't remember the ending of it, but it was very mediocre, obviously. The next book I actually have a physical copy of, and that is Still House Lake by Rachel Caine. I gave this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. This is a very thrillery book. I read this on audio, even though I have a physical copy of it. I was actually gifted this by Molly. I remember it. It was just a lot to take in. There was so much to this book. It was very dense, and you had to like really pay attention. It's about this family who's constantly like on the run. It's a mom and her kids, and they're constantly on the run because the husband's like in jail. He killed somebody in the beginning of the book, which it goes right into that as soon as the pages open. It's just crazy. And then it's just kind of them having to like learn to trust people, and then them living in a new lake house, and there's like a body that like comes up from the water, and like people are pinpointing it to them, and like they're trying to figure it out, and like who's this new murderer around them and who's coming after them and all this kind of stuff. It's a lot. It was very dense. I gave it a 3.5. So that was it for April. I read 2 audiobooks, 2 thrillers, 626 pages, and I had 1 3-star and 1 3.5 star. So for May, I read 1 physical book, 2 Kindle books, 1 manga, 2 romantic / erotica, 661 pages, and 3 4 stars. So May was a bit better. I only read 3 books for May, but they were all 4 stars, so win-win. The first one being a manga, and that is Our Dreams at Dusk by This is about a boy who is kind of struggling with his sexuality, and he kind of sees this girl like jump off a building in like the beginning of the book. He kind of like is like his protector or like his angel in a way. I don't know, but she like protects him and like introduces him to this like whole group of people, I think, that are also queer. And they kind of just take him under his wing and like just protect him and make him feel more safe and comfortable about his sexuality. And it was a really cute book. It was really sweet. Kind of forgettable if I'm thinking about it now. I kind of feel bad to say that, but it's a really pretty cover. I do love this cover, but I don't think I'll pick up the second volume. So I picked up The Mobster's Masseuse. I'm pretty sure this is by Jessica Caine. Could be very wrong. I read this on Kindle, and I gave it a 4 stars, obviously. Don't recall much of it, honestly. All I know is that it was my first mafia book. Actually, no, I do remember. It's about this girl who works as a masseuse, and I never read a book with that kind of like main character. And she works as a masseuse, and then this mafia man gets a massage by her, and it's all automatically like he's possessive over her. He wants to protect her. She has like a really gross boss that kind of like tries to put the moves on her all the time, and so he's like protecting her, and he like leaves the massage place for some sort of business or something like that, and then he comes back and she's not there, or she like ran away, and he had his bodyguards there. And it was just a very possessive book, and obviously it was just really mainly steamy sex scenes throughout this book. And so he kind of takes her back to his place and just makes her live there with him, and it was alright. It was a very Jessica Caine book. If this is by Jessica Caine, it was a very Jessica Caine book. Next book is one that I actually really did enjoy. I also read this on my Kindle, and it is Cruel Prince. This is the first book in, I think it's gonna be a series. I think there's like a 4th book in the making. I'm currently on the second one, Ruthless King, one of those. And I've been in the middle of that since like the beginning of this month, so kind of on the back burner right now. But this is like another bully romance, and it was pretty good. I gave it a 4 stars. It kind of helped me get out of my reading slump, and I kind of read it pretty fast. It's about this kid who goes to like this group of kids. It's a guy, I forget his name. He has like siblings, and they all go to this like academy. This girl comes back. They had like a bad past together, so he's constantly bullying her. And the reason for it is kind of really like deep. There's trigger for suicide in this and all that kind of stuff, and probably sexual harassment as well and sexual assault. So just put that out there. This is not a easy to read book. The second one also focuses heavily on weight, dealing with being a heavier set person, plus size and stuff like that. So it does have good rep in it. That's what I should say. It has good rep in it, and it was really entertaining. I did like all the characters, and it was really sad at points. Like, I was actually like heartbroken when I found out why he hated her so much. But the angst, oh, so good. But yeah, that's all I read for May. Now let's get into June, because I read 7 books in 6 days. So my stats for June is I read 7 books, 7 of them being audio, 2-ish kind of physical, 4 romances, 2 thrillers, 1 poetry. I read 2,599 pages. I read 1 2-star books, 1 3-star books, 2 3.5-star books, and 3 4-star books. So a pretty interesting reading month, I should say. First book I read was Beach Read by Emily Henry. I gave this a 3.5. I didn't particularly like it. The ending is what saved it, is how the whole book wrapped up. I did like that part, but it just took too long to get to the point. It's about these 2 authors. One writes romance and one writes the opposite of romance, basically. And the girl January, she is dealing with the death of her father, so she has like a beach house that he left her, and she goes there and like moves in, and lo and behold, her neighbor is Augustus, and they have a past together, so it's like the enemies to lovers, and it was really cute. I actually did enjoy their romance, but I didn't like January as a person. She was very annoying, and Augustus, he was alright. He was whatever. Again, very forgettable book. I really did not enjoy this as much as other people did. I know this book is either really liked or really hated. I, for one, just didn't really care for it. It was like my first book back into trying to read again. I tried reading it physically, but it did not happen, so thank God for audiobooks, because that was the only way I was going to be able to finish this. Yeah, it was an anticipated release for this year, and it's kind of disappointed me. Next book that I was in the middle of, probably since April, The Sun and Her Flowers by Ruby Carr. This is a poetry book, and you guys know I typically don't read poetry books or verse poetry and all that kind of stuff. I gave this a 2 stars because it took me forever to get through. I obviously read it physically, and then I found the audiobook of it, and that was the only way I got through it, because it was just sitting on my shelf, not being read. It was good. Like, I tabbed up some of my favorite parts in certain sections, but towards the middle part of it, I was just like, okay, I'm done with this. Can we move on, please? So I don't really remember much of the poetry when I listened to it on audio, but it's whatever. Next book that I read was Kill Switch by Penelope Douglas. Pen Dougie. I love her, my favorite author, you guys know. This is the 3rd book in the Devil's Night series, and the 4th one is coming out in July. I already pre-ordered it on my Kindle, but I want to wait till audio version is out, because I have listened to all of her Devil Knight series books on audio, so I kind of want to continue it that way. This book focuses heavily on Damon. This is also a continuation in the series, so I can't go too deep into it. This is about to turn into a threesome. No, I don't want it. No. This book is very heavy. It's very, very dense. I really love Damon now. Like, oh my god. Like, you guys know I hated him. Like, if you watch any of my, like, reading vlogs where I would read it or anything, I did not like Damon. He was a piece of shit, basically. I just want to protect him now. And, like, he has this romance in this book, which I think is, like, spot on, because I think the person that he is now with was, like, perfect for him. She keeps him grounded and all that kind of stuff, and so it was really good. I am really happy with how this book went, because I did not particularly like the 2nd book, which was Kai's book, and I just didn't like it. And the 4th book is Will, finally. I figured it was going to be Will, and I feel like the 4th book is going to be so fucked up, because Will is so fucked up. Like, he might even be like an equivalent to Damon in a way, so that should be interesting. Next book I listened to on audio as well. I literally listened to all these books on audio, so I'm not going to keep saying that. I listened to Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. As you guys know, I have read all of her other books, The Fire on High, Poet X. I think I listened to all of those on audio as well, so I'm trying to keep it up the same. Also, this is in verse, so I wasn't able to really, like, comprehend it as great as I would if it was written, like, The Fire on High. So I kind of give this a 4 stars, like a 3.5, 4 stars. I liked it, but I don't think I was in the right mindset for it at the time. I listened to an audio. I probably should have physically read it. I want to go back and reread The Poet X, and I want to go back and reread this and just kind of give it its chance, because I feel like this book is so beautiful. People have said they cried over it. I personally probably wouldn't, just because I don't tend to cry over books that much. But this is about 2 girls, Camino and one is Yaharia. They're both sisters, and they don't know that until their father dies in a plane crash that is actually based on a true story in the author's note. It is about a plane crash that happened in the Dominican Republic to New York, or vice versa, and it's a true story, and it happened like a couple months after 9/11, I'm pretty sure. So it's based off literally true events, which is really crazy. And so it's a lot of grief and heaviness in this book, and it deals with sexual assault and death of a family member. So it obviously had really good like topics in it, but I just don't think I gave it enough of a chance. So I definitely plan to reread this sometime in the future. The next one that I've read was Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. I know you guys were all so excited for me to read this, but I gave it a 3 stars. It was very ridiculous. Like, oh my god, I listened to this in audio and I ate it up in like a day. This was a really long audiobook, but I listened to this entire thing in like a day. What is it fucking about anymore? I don't even fucking know. So it's about this mom, Louise, and she has like a son, and she meets her new boss at this bar, and then the next day she goes to work and he's there, and she kind of becomes like infatuated with him, and it's like the same way for him too. But he has a wife at home, and she's kind of a little psycho. Wife and Louise, they become like friends, and it's just like a crazy ride. It is so in your head. This is like the most psychological thriller I think I've ever fucking read. It gets so deep in your head, and you really just have to like really pay attention, and just like, it was crazy. Like, the only thing that made it a 3 stars is the fucking ending. It was so paranormal. It was so ridiculous. I did not like the ending. It made me so mad. I feel like I wasted my entire time just for that to be the fucking ending. And if you know, you fucking know, because I'm so mad. Alright, we're getting down to the last 2. So the next one I read was The Whisper Man by Alex North. Going into this, I thought this was going to be so much different than it actually turned out to be. This turned out to be like a very crime-heavy book, kind of like true crime novels. Like, this kind of felt really real. I will not lie, it did creep me out. Like, I remember I was in my basement doing like some Depop orders, and I was like really like looking over my shoulder a lot. I was like really scared. So it did do the job of making me scared, but it was just, I don't know, it was very underwhelming. Like, it's about this kid who lives with his dad, and he has like an imaginary friend, which I loved when we found out who his imaginary friend was. It was just, oh, it was so good. I loved that part. That made me like really happy. And it's about this guy who like whispers outside kids' windows, and basically it's this guy that like just kidnaps kids, and there's like a bunch of history that's involved, so you like really have to like listen closely to it. It's one of those like type of thrillers that you have to like really pay attention to it. I was having a hard time like paying attention to this. This is a really long audiobook as well, and so if I was doing something, I would like miss a part and be like, oh fuck, like I don't know, that was obviously a really important part. I paid attention enough to like kind of get the gist of the entire thing. It's just, it was really underwhelming. And then the ending of it, like finding out who did it all, I guess it was kind of stupid, because it wasn't even like a main character. It was somebody that we didn't even know, and like the person that did it in the past, because there was 2 different people that did it, I guess that makes sense because somebody in the past did it, and then he took kind of like over as the Whisper Man. But I just wish this was so much better than it was, per se. I don't think Alex North's writing is for me either. Mainly with this one, it was really, really, really hard to focus on whose point of view it was, because they would not address it. Like, at least in this one it would say Adele, Louise, so you knew who was talking. But in this one, you didn't know who was talking. It could have been the dad, it could have been someone in the past, it could have been the son. Like, you don't know. Like, you really have to like kind of physically read it. So my suggestion is going into this physically. I saw Chandler's review, and she said she should have physically read this instead of listening to audio. Probably would agree with that too. And the last book, another very kind of underwhelming book that I read, was Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I know, I'm really, really sorry. This book was just not for me, per se. I gave it a 4 stars, like a 3.5, 4 stars. It took too long for me to get into, for one. I tried reading this physically at first, and then it took too long. I was literally at page 30 for like a good couple days, and I was just really, really struggling. And so I picked it up on audio, which at first I didn't want to start it on audio because of the accent. But basically it's about this girl named Chloe Brown, and she has, is it fibromyalgia? I don't know. She has some sort of like illness, like chronic fatigue and stuff like that, and pain. And there's a guy, handyman, that works at her apartment that she just moved into, and he kind of like helps her get a life and follow like this bucket list together, and it's like about their romance and all this kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what this book is about at this point. I don't know if it was just the narrator for Red's voice, but I didn't like him. I did not care for Red's person because of the narrator. Made him very creepy, so it was just like not for me. The romance was alright. The sex scenes, however, the intimate scenes were phenomenal. Her writing is wicked good. Like, seriously, like Talia Hibbert's writing is really good. I would love to read some more things about her, more things with her writing, but I don't think I'm gonna pick up Take a Hint, Danny Brown, if that's what it's called. I'm just not like interested in the series or the sisters and all that kind of stuff, which I feel so bad to say because this book is so hyped, which the hype got to me because I wanted to read it, but it was just, underwhelming for me, and I really hate to say that. Wow, okay, that was actually a really good wrap up. I'm actually really impressed with myself. July is going to be hopefully a really good reading month. I'm in the middle of 2 books right now, which I guess I'll talk about them. I'm currently in the middle of The Duchess's Deal, which is a historical romance. What? Me reading historical romance? Yeah, loving it. You guys will see a reading vlog for this. Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. I am a good chunk in now. I think I'm actually gonna go listen to the rest of this audiobook today. I have like 9 hours left. That one's actually pretty good. I'm actually really enjoying that. Like a lot more than my other thrillers that I've been picking up recently. So you guys will see that in my July wrap up. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, give it a big like, subscribe down below to join the family, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye guys.